With Championship Sunday now behind us and the champions of each conference being the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, congratulations to each team, by the way, we now take a look back and see what some of the biggest takeaways were from Sunday. There are still some questions that I personally have, but before we dive into all that, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now let's begin. We're recapping the Titans-Chiefs game first, and I want to start by saying how successful of a year the Titans had, and really congratulate them on that. Going into the 2019 season, I would have never believed they would be one of the final four teams and be in the AFC Championship game. Not only that, but they put an end to the Patriots dynasty and thoroughly beat the Ravens with the MVP at quarterback as well. But they have serious questions going into this offseason, such as will they extend Ryan Tannehill and how much money will he get paid for this next season? Not only that, but Derrick Henry is a free agent as well, and after the first two playoff games where they ran through him and he ran for over 180 yards in two playoff games, the Titans have no choice but to pay Henry. Going into Sunday's game, I thought the steam would run out against the Chiefs, and it did, and there's no shame in losing to the Chiefs, because they kept it competitive for most of the game, and not only that, but they were there. They sent the Patriots and Ravens home and were in the AFC Championship game. A question I have for the Titans would be, how do you sustain this season's success long term, and not make this AFC Championship game appearance just a 1 in 10 year thing, and go back to being relatively mediocre like they have been for quite some time? Mike Vrabel proved this postseason he is a great coach, and I absolutely love their future with A.J. Brown and Jonnu Smith, but how long can Ryan Tannehill play the way he did this season, and can he be Tennessee's legitimate franchise quarterback? Moving on to the Chiefs now, and aside from double or triple teaming him every play, Tyreek Hill is nearly impossible to stop. We saw yesterday when the Chiefs would motion him and use him as a decoy that 4 or 5 guys would follow him or hesitate and let the actual running back on the play get a couple of yards upfield because they were so concerned about Tyreek's big play ability. The 49ers will have their hands full in 2 weeks, and I'm very excited to see how this plays out. Not only will they have to deal with Tyreek, but Travis Kelce will present the 49ers a big challenge as well. And by the way, they are facing the best quarterback in the NFL on the biggest stage. Patrick Mahomes threw for 294 yards and 3 touchdowns and added another 55 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown Sunday, and the Chiefs put up what seemed a relatively easy 35 points. We saw how good their offense can be against Houston when they put up 51 points in just 3 quarters, and with how good San Francisco's front 4 is and the rest of their defense for that matter, I personally can't wait for Super Bowl Sunday to see how this matchup plays out. Anyways, I thought going into this game the Chiefs were going to win, and they did, and I'm glad in the 100th season Lamar Hunt's son Clark Hunt was presented with the Lamar Hunt Trophy to send the Chiefs back to the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years. Now we look at the NFC Championship game. The NFC Championship game started off as bad as it possibly could have, injuries aside for the Packers, and they were down 27-0 at half. They made the game more respectable in the second half as the final was 37-20, but aside from a drive in the fourth quarter where Jimmy threw a pass to George Kittle to put them in field goal range, it really never felt that close. There were a lot of people tweeting things like the Packers were the worst 13-3 team of all time and they don't deserve to be there and things along those lines. However, the Packers were there and 14 other NFC teams, my team included, was not there. And I think a legitimate question to ask, and Packers fans bear with me here, but how long is Aaron Rodgers' window open until he really starts to decline like we saw with Tom Brady this year? I'm not saying it's closing right this second, but he is 36 years old and I think he showed at times this year clear signs of regression. My personal guess is he has 2 years left of starting before we really get to that point, but you never know in the NFL. Raheem Mostert absolutely destroyed the Packers and ran for a 49ers postseason record 220 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns, and the Packers didn't have an answer for him all night. It seemed there for a while the 49ers were getting 10 yards per carry and that the Packers had zero answer. There was also a point in time where Jimmy Garoppolo went almost 2 full quarters without throwing a pass in a playoff game, which brings me to a question I want anyone to answer in the comments. Can Jimmy win a big game if he needs to? I want to say I'm not saying he can or can't, but in 2 playoff games he has thrown for a total of 208 passing yards with 1 passing touchdown and 1 interception, and has largely been carried by a defense and a running game. Through the first 6 quarters of his postseason career, his defense gave up a total of 10 points, and whether a quarterback is Jamarcus Russell, Tom Brady, or anybody in between, I would hope that they could put up at least 3 points per quarter. That's all it boils down to. The Super Bowl will hopefully answer this question as to whether or not Jimmy can win the big game and lead a game-winning drive if he needs to with the season on the line. If I had to go on record of whether or not he can win the big game, I would say he can, because earlier in the year we saw the 49ers put up 48 points in the Superdome with Jimmy throwing for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think if Super Bowl 54 comes down to it and Jimmy has to lead a drive against the Chiefs defense, he has the ability to do so, but there is legitimate questions surrounding that topic at this time. That's all I have for today's video and Championship Sunday recap. If you enjoyed, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for 3 videos per week, and I'll see everyone next time. Have a great day.